I'm going to let our panelists introduce themselves, and maybe we'll start with Melissa on the end, and then we'll work our way down.
Thanks, Adam.
Hi, I'm Melissa Feemster. I run a company called Team Bespoke with my wonderful two co-founders that are also here. We specialize in fashion and beauty brands that tend to be small to mid-sized direct-to-consumer brands in the United States primarily, but have just expanded to the UK and EU.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ashley Parrish. I'm the Senior Vice President of Commerce for The Today Show and NBC News. We produce about 400 to 500 segments a year for the show and have a big digital exclusive business as well.
I'm Michael McNerney. I'm the publisher of MarTech Record. MarTech Record is an industry trade publication that covers affiliate marketing, and our audience is 90% North American, so I'm super excited to be here and introduce you guys to our publication.
Awesome, thank you. So what we wanted to talk about today is a lot of people think of affiliate as a channel, sort of a siloed channel, but the belief is it's really a strategy that could be leveraged sort of horizontally across an organization. It doesn't just have to be last click. It doesn't just have to be bottom of the funnel as well. And there are ways to access dollars from an advertiser perspective and revenue from a publisher perspective as well that goes beyond what you traditionally think of when you think about affiliate. And so I wanted to actually start, and I'll ask the question to Ashley, with the economics of the business constantly changing. As a publisher, how do you sort of make the case to get additional investment?
Yeah, so we've seen the brand budgets have merged, and so we have merged our offerings to help match that and meet that. So coming to one person on Today means that you can get an integration and spend media, you can get a sponsored editorial package, and you'll get an introduction to our newsroom as well for just editorial coverage too. So we think of the offerings as the spectrum, and the goal being that a brand can come and have touch points, kind of a heartbeat of touch points across that full spectrum for even more impact.
And Melissa, when you're talking to brands, there is a belief a lot of times that it is just bottom of the funnel. What do you do to make the case to them that this is more than just last click, bottom of the funnel distribution, as Ashley was just talking about?
Well, we've got some good case studies of putting folks on the Today Show and them having their best sales day ever in the history of the company. So we can definitely talk about that. It's definitely a combination of.
We didn't plan that talking point.
It's true. I mean, just yesterday we had The Outset, which is one of our brands, on with Jenna, and it was an amazing performance. So it's pretty easy, I would say, for someone like a Today Show. I would say for some of the other publications or publishers that are out there that might not have an immediate ROI that's quite as quick as a broadcast segment. Right. There's a little more of a storytelling and sort of to the brand of like making sure that they understand that there's a time factor to it. When someone comes to us and says, we'd really like to do some collaborative PR with you as a brand, we say, we definitely need 3 to 6 months while we sort of build it, figure out which audience of each of these content partners is your audience, and kind of test and learn to that. So it's a little bit of, you have to have some trust and some testing budget.
Do either of you have challenges getting buy-in from senior leadership, like changing the sort of perceptions of what affiliate is and what it can do? And if so, like how do you address that?
So, we see affiliate as a gateway to build a much broader business. And so thinking through if the Outset comes on, we see incredible engagement from our audience. A lot of times the brand will call us and say, can we do more in different ways? But at the same time, if you don't call me, I will call you and say, wow, we saw incredible engagement. Can we actually function as a wholesaler? Can we buy products to go into our commerce boxes, which is a completely different revenue stream, as well as partnerships. And so affiliate is kind of that gateway to broadening the business and having new revenue streams.
I like that. I like referring to it as the gateway to
bigger. It is you have to pass go.
And when you think about it as a gateway, right, it also could open you up to new markets as well, right? And Mike, one of the reasons why I asked Mike is to be a part of this is he has such a broad perspective on the industry, especially in North America. Folks reach out to Mike with questions about everything from hiring to strategy to markets. Like, what are some of the things that people should know, especially since we have a lot of friends from Europe in the audience as well? But, What are things that they should be thinking about when thinking about entering a new market like North America, or vice versa, North American brands entering the European market?
Yeah, well, I think I do talk to a lot of European companies interested in entering the U.S. market, and I think there's like a common, there's some common mistakes that are made. I think both ways, right? I think Americans tend to think like, well, we don't understand these sophisticated markets, and then Europeans are like, well, I watch Friends, and so I kind of understand, America. It's like I saw the movie, I got it, and both are a little true and both are a little false, of course. And kind of coming into the U.S. I think it's easy to look at the U.S. and go, oh, it's 5 times the size of whatever market I'm in. We just kind of rinse, repeat, do the same thing, and we'll have 5 times the revenue. And what gets lost sometimes is it's 5 times as complex, meaning there's 5 times as many competitors. And you have to figure out who your kind of like frenemies are and who you work with and then who you hate and all that stuff. And you really have to spend more time in the U.S., I think, thinking about who your target is. Like, who is that person and who am I going to find? Because they're there, but you have to be very clear about it, and it gets very easy to start chasing the other ones, right? Yeah. And because they're all there as well. And so that's the biggest mistake I see made is like, oh, there's the gold. But you got to really focus on who your target is, I think, more than when you're in a specific region in Europe or kind of anywhere else. Where it's less complex in the U.S., of course, is like, we have the same currency and, there are a lot of cultural similarities, so you do have the opportunity for scale. And so in the vice versa, I think Americans kind of think, oh, like, we don't understand the language and this and that. And that is true. But also, there's some basics in there where, target, value prop, execute can be accomplished. So I don't know if that answered the question.
I think it did, but I'd also ask Melissa or Ashley, is there any complexities you see in how people should think about tackling them when entering the market, any new market for that matter? I asked the hard-hitting questions.
I know. So I think choice and curation, of course, go hand in hand. And I think our audience is very often somewhat paralyzed by choice. In the U.S. market, there's so much. You referred to it. So for a brand, on my side, from a publisher standpoint, the ability to flex the curation muscle via expertise and authority goes so far in helping guide the audience in terms of choice. On the brand side, I think it's so important when you're talking with publishers to highlight the reason why, and not just behind the individual product, but the company. I think in the US, the audience is so focused not just on the value prop of the product, but the ethos of the company. And maybe that's the same in Europe, I'm not totally sure, but I think that's something that goes to overall choice.
Gotcha.
I would say that in the US you'll find, I don't know how many of you guys know this already, but there's like we call them coastal brands. So there are brands that do super well in New York and California, maybe a little in like the Texas area or something like that. And those tend to be some of like the hot, cool, direct-to-consumer brands. And they have an audience of publishers that you want to match in your affiliate program that are probably different than the brands that are going to perform really well on the Today Show, actually, because the Today Show reaches every American throughout even the middle of the country. And so you have to think about your price point in terms of that. You have to think about a lot of things. So I would say, even though we do have the same currency, there's still some of those sort of nuances and kind of where do you sit, and then that determines, I think, the partnerships you want to put together that'll be most successful. So just make sure when you kind of talk to an agency or a partner, you really know a lot about your consumer so that you can make sure you find that right matches in your affiliate program.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And then when you switching from the consumer view to the org structure, I guess I'll open it up to all of you. Do you find that the brand organizations are traditionally siloed? Is that and if it is that an inhibitor to growth, or does that help?
So
Ashley, you want to take that?
My team will laugh at me if they hear this. I say that commerce is a team sport, and I
that.
truly, truly believe that. In the publishing industry, commerce is still kind of this like, what is this thing? You're selling, you're making so much money, what's going on? And so there's a level of curiosity, I think, across the company for us around commerce. We are all consumers. Everybody wants to learn from it and contribute to it in some way. We think of commerce as this layer of utility that crosses all of our content, and so it touches the whole org. no matter what. And so commerce is a team sport in that our marketing team supports it, our PR team is supporting it. We are on broadcast and social and digital and every screen you can think of. And so like our wins are our collective wins versus just the individual commerce team. That's how we've built the org, so that we have that, foundational support and internal promotion as well as external.
And Mike, I guess from the brand perspective, you run your own events and you have CMOs and very senior people there. And when they join this, is it like affiliate what? Or do they truly understand the value of the business? And how are they thinking about their organizations and allocation of budget?
Yeah, I think it obviously depends on the brand. I mean, there are some that are affiliate first, and that is kind of how the brand grew. And there in those organizations, you have people who are very sophisticated in thinking about how to leverage the tactic or the channel or whatever we want to call it here. And there are other organizations where the affiliate person has traditionally kind of sat off to the side and kind of executed and brought in revenue, and like as long as that revenue hits the numbers, like that's
no
fine.
one asks questions.
Yeah, and I think that is starting to really change. And where I probably have more insight is just we have a really healthy jobs business and a jobs channel on our Slack group, and there's 50 to 100 jobs posted a month, and some of those I end up having conversations with the hiring manager and asking them what they're looking for. And what is clear is there's more people who want a combination of that classic affiliate kind of like almost sales role that an affiliate person have, combined with that elusive cross-functional role, which is like I have a common term that is ill-defined often, but I think in this case is very applicable, which is someone who can understands how to set up these affiliate deals, but also can go into the other marketers and talk brand, tell a story, think about how an editor is going to react to a certain story and pitch it appropriately. And there's just fewer people who can do both of those things than demand right now. And so if you have those dual skill sets, and the fact that that's being asked of me a lot indicates to me that there is demand to start integrating these in marketing organizations, right? And a lot of the questions then that get higher level are much more about, okay, if I'm going to do that, how do I incent my team, right? So it's one thing to say, hey, go sprinkle commerce throughout the organization. It's another one to go, oh, and here's how I'm going to give you bonuses, right? If you're successful, like how do we measure this together? Where do I put people? And to wrap up, one of the things I ask almost every marketer, whether it's on stage or on a Zoom or just when we meet them, is where do you put your affiliate team? And it's amazing to me the number of different answers we get, right? And most of them are really thoughtful and interesting. A lot of people say, hey, it's it's on the performance team, and there's good reason for that, and it's kind of that's where it traditionally is. And sometimes people say, well, it's on my brand team because I want my affiliate people telling stories, right? But a couple of like the really fun ones I heard is one was we put it on our product team, and it was so interesting.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, this was avocado mattresses, and they said this to me, and I was like, your product team, and they said, look, our partners need to know about product changes 6 months in advance. It's complicated why we source things from Sri Lanka or whatever. And the only way they're going to know that is if the affiliate person's on the product team understanding the product changes that are going to come down the pipe in 6 months, and then communicating that ahead of time. And that's the most important thing to our business, is the story is told ahead of time. And I was like, oh, that's super interesting, right? So. And
those budgets then can come from other places in the organization.
Yeah, and then they can source them throughout, right? I mean, I'm not advocating you put the product person on your or affiliate team or vice versa, but it's interesting, right? And it's changing, I think, is the lesson.
That's great. I wanted to talk a little bit about skill sets. I was going to talk about it in a little bit, but maybe we should just jump into it, because I think it is important. And Melissa, I'll ask you, when we talk about sort of the people that are required to make the industry go, what are some of the skill sets? So Melissa and I worked together for a long time. We hired a lot of people together. And I will say, I think she is one of the best judges of talent that I've ever seen. Why she still remains friendly with me. Sorry about that. I have no idea. That ruined my punchline. Great judge of talent. So I'd love to know what you look for in terms of skill sets, in terms of hiring. And has it changed over time?
It's definitely changed, I think, versus when you and I started back in 2004. There was a real finite set of partners that could drive revenue. And we all knew what we were in the business to do, I would say. It was a very simple value proposition in affiliate back then. And now, I would say the skill sets that we look for in the team are people who can storytell and sell in to someone who doesn't know what affiliate is, right? And so we're selling into editors. At the Today Show, they know they're affiliate, but we actually are often discovering new publications. Now, obviously, there's Substacks out there. That's the sexy new thing. We're always working with influencers and creators. And so we're having to have these, we have to be so passionate about our client's product that we can tell that story in a way that gets them excited and makes them want to tell that story, right? And so it's a little sales, it's a little bit of, but it's also authenticity. We actually give our team a quarterly stipend to buy our client's product so that they can actually have purchased it and speak authentically about it. And I think that passion of being like, oh, this facial scrub actually like really gets soft in a matter of like seconds. It's not like rough on your face for a long time. Like to be able to say that to someone who's going to create something for that brand, I think is really impactful. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but it's not as simple as it used to be.
Love a good facial scrub.
I know you do.
So are there I think we traditionally think of affiliate too, I guess for all of you, we traditionally think of affiliate like so it's more of like a BD type role, but as it grows, as it becomes a gateway into other things in an organization, are there additional or new types of roles that are required to manage these programs? Because again, it used to be, if you're on the advertiser side, you're just talking to publishers all day, but is there more that's needed as we go forward and the industry grows?
Foundationally, I hire for agility versus ability, knowing that those roles are going to change. I've taken a lot of folks on my editorial team, and they now work on our insights team, our data and insights team, because they understand how a piece of content is made, and they understand the value of that data, that math and magic combination there. Knowing that there's so many new roles, and you have to remain curious. The ability to like move and change and learn versus a specific set of skills is what I'm looking for. So it's more personality focused than skill focused.
Does that help with the cross-functional work as
Absolutely. And we don't have a career ladder. We have a career matrix. So you can start on the editorial side in text and move into a production role on the show or move into data. And so the whole idea is like, when you're 22 and starting out, like, okay, I want to work at the Today Show. Like, I'll take whatever job you got. And then you start to realize, like, the signals of what really is exciting for you. And so to be able to retain talent across a variety of channels and platforms is something we're really proud of. And, they're able to move from one place to another because we focus on that agility.
It almost sounds like affiliate is sort of evolving to this sort of three-dimensional component of an organization. Mike, I'll ask you first. Does that change the KPIs that we look at in terms of measuring our success in the business?
Yeah, I think it has to, right? And I think hopefully for the positive, right? Like, affiliate, I think the dream was always, I think people are like, hey, like we deserve more credit, right? Like, for all these reasons, like, it's not like, the first time or the last time you saw it was, on that buy button. Usually there's some sort of influence that's dictated by affiliate throughout the kind of consumer journey. And this is an opportunity to weave it in. I think the threat is actually what's interesting is like, the threat is that, hey, like these other channels kind of take affiliate, right? Mm-hmm. And how do we all work together, right? Because it's like, the question isn't, is affiliate going to be woven into the marketing? It already is, right? Like, and everyone's
just don't know it sometimes.
Right, like, there's performance PR and there's, I heard a newsletter one yesterday that was like a new term, and then we had in our newsletter, we interviewed an AI guy who had a whole different term that he like pretended like he made up that was just affiliate, right? And so the challenge isn't like, is it going to be woven in? It already is. It's there.
So
right?
we could establish that here
like
today?
That's over. That game is done. So like we could stop debating that. The question is like, who's going to be controlling those budgets and who's going to be creating the KPIs that, and that's kind of up to us, right? Like, don't fight it because you're going to have to get into that organization. And I will say, as someone who did not start his career in affiliate people have a unique skill set. They really do know how to do something different than the rest of the organization. So start being the cross-functional person, the person that teaches people, that works together, that thinks about the stories that align with the commerce editor, right? And then setting up those deals, right? Because it is surprisingly hard for someone on a brand team to figure out how to strike a deal that has a commerce element. In fact, impossible. So anyway, hopefully that.
Yeah. Melissa, are you seeing that with brands? Are you seeing that in those
Yeah, we're seeing a lot
organizations?
more brand budget blending into the actual like sales and revenue concentration, sometimes focusing on clicks, but absolutely, we're seeing it broaden quite a bit. But I do think at the end of the day, we are still compared to the ROI of other channels. And we are still usually asked to be more efficient than a Meta or a Google.
Why do you think that
I
is?
hope that'll change at some point, but because because they're so inefficient, somebody's got to make up somebody's got to make up that money, and so they always look to the affiliate channel to kind of save that efficiency a little bit. So as soon as you get down that brand road, you're starting to lose a little bit of that efficiency. We're still always a little bit more efficient, but
I think part of it is their inefficiency you can't see, and an affiliate you have to like hire someone to do something so you can point out like, oh, that costs money, whereas like in programmatic it's just like hidden in some bot somewhere, and so that's my little side.
Lisa just gave me the stop talking Adam sign. So
You have the 5-minute sign already.
oh, we were so engaged, right?
Exactly.
Do we have time for questions, or are we?
Probably take one question from the audience.
Are there any questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Linda.
Hello, yeah. I'm just curious, like, for the group, like, how you've seen, like, measurement, like, evolve over the past, like, 3 to 5 years.
I mean, I can give a very quick answer of like the nightmare of GA4 for sure has like been a little bit of our curse, and just what I'm seeing now is that the triple whales and other true like measurement, multi-touch measurement platforms are starting to get infiltrated in our clients, and that's a godsend for sure beyond the GA4 mess that we really had to fight through.
Very fast. So what a brand needs to do to be featured on such large editors like Today Show and Harris Magazine, for example, what a brand, especially on the fashion side, needs to do, because sometimes you can feature the brand once in a quarter, but is it possible to have a frequent promotion, like a monthly or something like it, or is the things are different now?
You hire Melissa. That's what it is.
Right, no. What would you say to that?
Well, hire Melissa and she'll call me. I'd say nail your brand story and pitch it. Pitch it to, you're welcome to connect with me, and we will pitch it to the newsroom, the editorial side. We'll give you some pricing for the sponsorship side. There's media, there's opportunity there too, but it starts with the brand story. If you don't have budget, brand story is even more important. If you do have budget, it's still important to ensure that we're framing your marketing messages in the right way.
Cool. Well, Melissa, Ashley, Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam.
Four jet-lagged Americans made it through.